The internet is this huge and captivating space, a fascinating place where you can find all sorts of info in a snap. But you know what? Sometimes, when you're just trying to research something on Google, you stumble across some pretty unsettling stuff that wastes hours of your time. Sure, there's a ton of cool and enlightening stuff online, but there are also some seriously dark and creepy corners you're better off steering clear of. In today's world, we're all about that just Google it life for learning new things, but there are topics that are best left untouched. Curiosity can be powerful, but there are lines you don't want to cross. Some things are better off not being poked around, unseen, and not searched for. It's all about keeping ourselves safe from disturbing, chilling, or downright traumatic material that is stuck in your head for good once you've seen it. Let's chat about the top 5 eerie things you're better off not Googling, so you can avoid running into any content that'll give you the creeps for ages. At the top of our list, we've got the green boots. Are they climbing Mount Everest? It's no walk in the park, that's for sure. Sadly, quite a few folks have lost their lives trying to conquer that beast. As of November 2022, 310 souls have perished on Everest, with over 200 bodies still up there due to the crazy conditions. Despite how eerie it may sound, climbers today use these bodies as markers. One of them, known as green boots, gets its name from the colored boots on the climber, marking a spot on the main northeast ridge of Everest. The identity of this climber is unofficial, but many believe it's Swangpure, an Indian climber who met his end on Everest back in '96. Originally found on the Lhotse face, Green Boots' body was moved to a less noticeable spot by a Chinese expedition. In 2006, British mountaineer David Sharp was discovered in bad shape near Green Boots Cave due to the cold. Despite attempts to help him, Sharp didn't make it due to the extreme cold. What's sad is that many climbers passed by him that day, maybe mistaking him for Green Boots and not realizing how much he needed help. The risks of these expeditions hit home, making you wonder why folks take on such challenges. The second one on our list is Richard Chase. Known for his really messed up behavior, he ended up in a mental institution back in 1976. Why, you ask? Well, he decided to inject rabbit's blood into his veins. While in the institution, things got even weirder. He caught 2 birds, killed them by breaking their necks, and drank their blood. Not surprisingly, he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and got some treatment. They eventually let him go, thinking he was no longer a danger. But guess what? Just a year later, he killed his first victim, starting a whole string of violent crimes. Chase once explained that unlocked doors were invitations to him, while locked doors meant he wasn't welcome. Talk about messed up, right? His later crimes included some really gruesome stuff like eating his victims' organs and drinking their blood. When the authorities caught him, they found blood all over his place: walls, floors, ceilings, and even his dishes. In the end, he was convicted of 6 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death, with the jury not buying his insanity plea. The third pick of our list is the Victorian British 8 mummies. You know, I've seen folks chatting about this on Twitter, but never really dug into it until now. And well, I should have left it at that. It all started with the Egyptian mummy crumbling into a mix to stop internal bleeding. Then things got weirder. The skull, yep, you heard it right, was powdered up to fix head problems. Even the moss found on a buried skull, called eusia, was turned into a special powder for nosebleeds and maybe epilepsy. Human fat was used on the outside, with doctors telling folks to slap fat-soaked bandages on wounds. Gout? Rub some fat in, they said. Fresh blood was a hot commodity, believed to have all the good stuff to cure things. Thankfully, by the 18th century, this odd practice faded away, coinciding with Europeans picking up forks for meals and soap for baths. But seriously, yikes. This quirky historical tale gives us a glimpse into the wacky medical customs of yesteryears, showing us how beliefs and treatments have evolved since then. Using human bits in medicine back then shows how little they knew and how desperately they searched for cures. Looking back, it's a mix of fascinating and creepy, highlighting modern medicine's massive strides in ethics and science. The next one to be wary of is the brain-eating parasite known as Naegleria fowleri. It's this tiny amoeba that you can only see under a microscope. It loves hanging out in warm freshwater spots like lakes, rivers, and hot springs, even chilling in the soil. If water with this amoeba gets up your nose, like when you're swimming, diving, or dunking your head in fresh water, it can travel up to your brain. And once it's in your brain, it starts attacking and wrecking brain tissue, causing a serious and often deadly infection. Symptoms usually pop up about 5 days after getting infected, but they could show up anytime between 1 to 12 days. You might feel stuff like headaches, fever, nausea, or throwing up at first. But as the infection gets worse, you could get a stiff neck, feel confused, not know what's going on around you, have seizures, see things that aren't there, and even slip into a coma. Sadly, once the symptoms kick in, things go downhill fast, and it can end in death within about 5 days. But sometimes it takes as long as 1 to 18 days after getting infected. It's a tragic reminder to steer clear of swimming in fresh water to avoid this kind of heartbreaking outcome. And finally, let's delve into the fascinating history of the chainsaw invention for childbirth. Back in 1780, two innovative Scottish doctors, John Atkin and James Jeffrey, created the first prototype of the chainsaw. Surprisingly, this invention wasn't initially meant for cutting down trees. It was a hand-cranked chainsaw designed to help with difficult childbirth scenarios. Can you imagine the courage of those mothers going through such a procedure fully conscious? Over time, the chainsaw transitioned from the delivery room to the workshop. Starting for medical purposes, it evolved to cut through different materials, becoming the powerful tool we know today. It's amazing to see how innovation and necessity transformed the chainsaw into the versatile tool it is now. Thankfully, healthcare has come a long way since then, providing safer options for childbirth. The journey of the chainsaw from the delivery room to the workshop truly shows the creativity and adaptability of human inventions throughout history. Well, that concludes our rundown of the top 5 dark and eerie subjects that are best avoided with a Google search. Which of these sends shivers down your spine the most? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Also, remember to show your support by liking this post and subscribing to our channel. Hope you found this video valuable and informative.